This is the Earth, and somewhere in the middle of that big floating ball is the United States. That's where you live. That's where I live. All the way on the left or west side of that is California. In the middle of that is where we live, a little place called Fresno. But let's back up for a minute. Let's take a look at the country, the United States. And just like sports teams and WWE wrestlers have logos and things they stand for, so do we. We love stars, stripes, birds, 300-foot tall women, laws, and liberty. This is our flag. It's sometimes called the old red, white, and blue. The 50 stars represent each state in the Union. Hey, there's California. Or maybe there. I don't know. Anyway, when people see our flag, they think freedom. Like when they see bald eagles. Unless you're Benjamin Franklin. He wanted a turkey instead. But we saved that for Thanksgiving, and that's another story. America has so much freedom that other countries, like France, decided to give us a big old statue called the Statue of Liberty, I know, creative name, to celebrate. We said thanks and put it in the ocean in front of New York. But where do these freedoms come from? Well, they come from laws. You see, a couple hundred years ago, we decided to make a thing called the Constitution. And what the Constitution said is what we can do or cannot do, and what the government can do and not do. It's like a big rule book for our country. As long as everyone follows the rules, freedom remains, and that means we can all be happy. But who makes these rules? Well, the answer is the government. Who's the government? Well, there's three parts or branches. There's a legislative, and that's the people we elect or vote for, who write the rules or laws. Then there's the judicial, who tells us how to carry out those laws. And then there's the executive, which includes the president, like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln, who actually carries out the rules. And why do we have all these boring rules anyway? Well, think about it. In your classroom, if everyone talks when the teacher is talking, can you hear what she's saying? No. Well, what if I had a bunch of money, so I bought a really fast car, and I drove it as fast as I wanted, wherever I wanted? Would that be safe? Of course not. Laws protect me and the others around me from myself. Well, what happens if we don't follow the rules? Well, sometimes nothing. But other times, people who have been put in place to make sure we follow the rules, like police officers, may arrest you. And if you're arrested, you might have to go to court. And if you go to court, a judge or jury might decide that you have to go to jail or even prison. And that's like a really long, really bad timeout. Well, what happens if the rules aren't fair? Well, then people like Martin Luther King have dreams and walk across bridges until the government takes notices and changes the rules. We have that freedom in America because of the Constitution. Well, who's the person in charge of all this? Well, I guess you could say that's the executive branch, and more specifically, the president. How do we get our president? Well, we vote for him. Every 4 years, we, the American people, decide who we want to lead our country to be the president. And it's the same as we do here locally, right here in Fresno. We vote for a mayor. The mayor is like the president of Fresno. They get to decide how rules are carried out and how best to lead our city, just like the president decides how to lead and best defend our country. Well, that's kind of confusing, I know. But don't worry, you'll learn more about this every year for the rest of your childhood, kid.